In this session, we'll see how you can integrate your jQuery with your model-driven app. We'll go everything step by step. We'll see how it can be integrated, how we will build the resource, how we'll build the HTML file, and then how we'll integrate, with your model-driven app. So if you navigate to your make.powerapps.com, if you don't already have a solution, you can create a solution by clicking on new solution and then, giving it a name, giving it a publisher name. Let's actually try that. So let's go to new solution. We'll say jQuery test. We'll select a publisher. So if you don't have a publisher, you can create a new one. So let's create a new publisher. We'll call it again jQuery query test. That's our display name. The name would be jtest and the prefix would be jtest again. We'll save this. Okay, so my publisher is created. What I'll do is basically select that one, which is my jQuery test. I'll leave the version number as is. I'll go ahead on create. Okay, so this is done now. So what the next thing that I'm going to do is basically, create a new entity here. So let's go with a table. I'll leave everything as is, the primary column and everything. So we'll save this. Okay, so once this is created, what we'll do is basically create the model-driven app as well. So we'll go to new, hit on app, hit on model-driven, and we'll name this as testing. Click on advanced, and we use the solution component which we just built, which is our jQuery test, and we'll use the default sitemap and we'll hit create. And you can see, this is the entity which exists within my model-driven app or within my solution. So I'll basically right-click or click on the ellipsis and click on Add to Navigation so that it is included in my app. So what we have done is basically done our basic prep work. We have created a solution, we created an entity, we created a model-driven app. So all those things we have done now. And what the next thing that you have to do is basically download any ID which is available. You can use your notepad, you can use your Atom Pub, or you can use your Visual Studio Code. So for this demo, I'm going to use a Visual Studio Code where we'll go ahead and create the HTML file where we'll basically include the JavaScript or the jQuery file, and we'll see how we can use the animation function of a jQuery within our model-driven app. So the only thing which I've done basically is open my Visual Studio Code. I have a folder here which is named as web resource. You can also, you can name it you can keep it under any folder. It's completely up to you. And you can see, I don't have anything, any document or any files under this folder. So the first thing that I'm going to do is basically create a new file, and I'll show you in two ways. One is basically building everything in a single HTML file, and then we'll see how we can, use this, or how we can separate it out in different files, and how we can load those separate files in a model driven. So let's first try index.html. Okay, so this is your, a completely empty HTML file which I've just created. And so the first thing that we are going to do is basically build our HTML skeleton, like what is going to happen. So yeah, you can start with the doc type HTML, and then you can type in HTML, and then you can type the head command. So under the head, what we'll do is basically we'll add in the script source. This is going to be our jQuery from the CDN. So we'll use that. So what we'll use is HTTPS So what we have done here is basically, we have included a CDN path for the jQuery, and this will be, downloaded from the browser once the document loads. And so that's the first thing that we have included in the head tag in the script, within the script tag. And the next thing that we are going to do is basically build our body here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically build two div elements. One is div ID, which is going to be click to open. The other div ID is which is going to be this is cool. Okay. So till now we have included the script tag for loading the jQuery. The other one is basically build our div tags, and now what we are going to do is basically use the the document.ready script, so that once the document is completely loaded, only then all these things, all the jQuery will be applicable. So we'll go to, again we'll open a script tag here. Okay, and underneath the script tag we'll use the document.ready. Will refer to the flip ID, and we'll attach a click function to this. So as soon as someone clicks on the flip ID, it will basically open the panel, and will start the animation over there. So function will refer the panel element. So it will be panel. Sorry, panel, because this is the ID. Dot. We'll use the animation which is slide down, and then mention a parameter here which is slope. So this is basically what is going to happen. So initially this panel ID will be hidden. We'll write the style element for that as well. And then once anyone clicks on this click to open, it will basically slide it down slowly. So within the same, under the head tag, what we'll do is basically we'll write our style element as well. Okay, So what we are going to do is basically panel adding will be pixel, let's keep as pixel with text align, go center, and then we'll go color, and then we'll select. Solid, my pixel. So this is also done. And now we'll write another CSS element or a style element to hide our panel initially. So this is going to be padding of 50 pixel, and then display would be so that's our code. And now what we have to do is basically, once we have saved this code which is index.html, we'll go back to our solution, we'll go back to the solution page, we'll click on new, we'll go to more, and then we'll select the web resources. Once you select the web resource, just select the file which you have just created a moment ago. Okay, so once you select your index.html file, you can provide a name here. So you can name it as jQuery HTML, and the name, this name, there should be no spaces, so it has to be jQuery test, and then you can save this one. Okay, so once you save your jQuery test web resource, you can basically, just to be sure, you can publish this. Okay, so publishing has succeeded. And now what you can do is basically go to your table entity, testing jQuery, go to the form section, go to the main form, and then what you can do is basically add a component here. Under the display, you will have the HTML web resource, so you can select that and search for the one which we just created, which is our jQuery HTML. We'll save and publish. Next, we'll go back. We'll go back to the apps and click on this ellipsis and hit on play button. So you have your testing jQueries here. Once you click on this new, our jQuery should be visible. So there you go. So basically, this is now showing me a panel or a div ID which we just created, which is the flip. And then once I click on this, it should open the panel element with our text in it. Awesome. So there you go. So this works perfectly fine. So the other thing that you can use is basically, you can remove, or you can put the style element in a different file, and that you can include it here. So how that is done is basically, you can create a new file. You can name it as style.css. Okay, we'll bring both these to the style.css here. Let's for HTML. We'll remove this, and instead of that, what we'll do is basically include a link tag here, which actions as link. Style CSS. CSS. Right. But for the model-driven app, what we have to do is basically, before you can do that, you have to go back to your solution, go back to the web resource, add a new web resource here, which is going to be the CSS file. Once you save this, what will happen is basically, if you go back to the edit, and you can look at the advanced option here, and there you can select this particular URL, which is mentioned for the CSS, and that you can put in the href. And since we have changed our HTML file, we have to, edit that as well. Just in case, we'll publish both the files. Okay, both of them are published. And so now when we go back to our model-driven app, this should ideally work. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the view and refresh this page. So my jQuery is working as is. So that's how you can basically write everything in one file, or you can have it in a different file and you can refer it in the HTML file. So that's how this all works. In fact, you can even download your jQuery offline, and then you can refer it in the same way, and it will work. Thank you.